Hello there, good morning to you and welcome to the Camnet Breakfast Show. I'm your host, my name is Precious Mzeya Sakadeji. Now we know we're counting down to the Independence Day, Zambia's Independence Day. I'm hoping to see a whole lot of decorations in town of the Zambian colors, and also hoping to see that very colorful crowd when we finally get to the 24th of October 2022. And also I'm looking forward to the National Day of Prayer and Fasting, and just to see how well we're going to reconcile and also ask for those people that we feel have wronged us, to forgive them, and also to ask for forgiveness from those we have actually wronged. Well, on today's breakfast show, I have quite a number of things I have outlined for you. We'll take a look at what we have and what has been happening in the course of the week, stories that caught our attention, and if you feel there's anything that caught your attention in the course of the week, either on social media or on one of our bulletins, just feel free to make sure you come through to our Facebook fan page, comment from there, and then we can continue with the rest of the conversation. Let me not bore you with this so much talks before we get into the program, the deeper ends of the program. Right about now, let's quickly just get into our first conversation of the day, which is the health corner. I'll join you on the other side. Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome to the health segment. I'm Dr. Chelo Mwanza, a member of the Medical Women Association of Zambia. The health segment is brought to you happily by the Medical Women Association of Zambia. This week, we're looking at the importance and components of the under 5 clinics. So far, we've looked at growth monitoring and nutrition. We've looked at how we can get these foods locally and we can promote our children's health, because these local foods are readily available and they're healthy. We do not need to give them exotic foods. Remember, a good health or diet will cause your child to develop as they are supposed to. It will enhance their brain development and even their intellectual as they start growing, as they continue to grow. Today, we're going to look at vaccinations and vitamin supplementation. I should commend our guardians out there, because you have been very committed in having your children vaccinated. We commend you and job well done. So, what are these vaccines? Why should we give the child all these vaccines? So vaccines help us prevent a child from getting some illnesses, and sometimes it may help the child not to get very sick from this particular disease that we're vaccinating against. Vaccines also help prevent the spread of diseases from one child to another. So some of these vaccines are given immediately the child is born until at about the age of 1 year, 6 months. So expect that your child should have gotten all the vaccines or immunizations according to the Zambian schedule at the age of 1 year, 6 months. In total, a child is supposed to get about 15 doses. Of course, others are combined and they're given at almost the same time, but if we are to count them one by one, this child is protected against about 15 illnesses. And so we're going to look at how these vaccines are scheduled when we look at our under 5 card. To start with, the first vaccine that a child gets is the BCG, the one that's injected on the arm. This vaccine protects your child from getting severe forms of tuberculosis. So that's tuberculosis affecting the brain, affecting their hearts, and so forth and so on. So your child needs to have gotten this vaccine immediately after birth or within the first 1 month of being born. Again, at birth, we expect that your child can also get what we call OPV 0. So OPV 0, they're usually 0 to 4. So it means your child needs to get about 3 doses of this OPV vaccine. Now we also have the IPV. This vaccine is meant to protect your child against polio. Polio causes weakness of both, could be both legs or one leg. And so your child will be unable to walk because the other leg will be non-functional because of polio. The other vaccine we give is the DPT, Hep B, Hep 2. So now, this vaccine has 5 components in each. So when you talk about the D stands for diphtheria. So this is a condition that affects the respiratory system of your child. It can also affect the skin, and it is very deadly. The next one is pertussis. So this is where a child has a whooping cough that is also deadly, and that's why we vaccinate against it. This vaccine also has a component of tetanus. Tetanus is where a child starts having spasms in their muscles, or they have their jaw locked in and they can't eat, they even stop breathing because even the muscles that control the breathing actually do get affected, and that's tetanus. The other component of that vaccine is the hepatitis B. So hepatitis virus affects the liver and can go on to cause liver cancer if your child is not vaccinated against it. The other one in this component is the Haemophilus influenza bacteria B. Now, this Haemophilus influenza can affect the brain, causing meningitis, can affect the chest, causing pneumonia. It can affect the joints, it can affect the heart. And so we vaccinate children against it because we do not want any child to have the illness from this virus. So a child is supposed to get 3 doses of this vaccine that contains 5 components in it to protect this child against these 5 diseases. So this one is given from the age of 6 weeks, and it's given injected on the thigh. The other one we give is the Rota vaccine. So Rota vaccine helps to prevent your child from getting diarrhea. Most of the children have diarrhea because they get the rotavirus, which affects their intestines, and diarrhea can be deadly. It has led to death of so many children, and so we want to vaccinate these children so that they do not get this diarrhea. The other one is PCV, or we call it the pneumococcal vaccine. So this one can also prevent your child from getting chest infection, pneumonia, and also infection of the brain coverings, which is meningitis. This one also is given from the age of about 6 weeks, and it's 3 doses, 4 weeks apart. Now, at about 14 weeks, your child would have gotten almost 3/4 of the vaccines that they need to get. The next one is measles. Measles is a disease where it affects the skin, so a child gets to have rash, and also affects the eyes. Okay, so when we give this vaccine at about 9 months, we repeat it at 1 year, 6 months as well, or 18 months. So this is to prevent children from getting the measles, and also from the measles spreading to other children, because it also has other later complications even as this child grows. So that's all about vaccinations. Your children, you need to make sure as a guardian that your children is taken for these under 5 visits so that they can get these vaccinations. The other component is vitamin A supplementation. Now here I need to mention that within 2 months of giving birth, a mother is also supposed to get this vitamin. So these vitamins are not only given to children, they're also given to mothers. So mothers do not be left out. It is required that you also get this vitamin. It also helps your baby to get the vaccine. So vitamin A is given to children starting from the age of 6 months, and it should be given every 6 months. It helps with the sight. It helps with to enable your child to see as clearly as they are supposed to. The other component of these immunizations and vitamins, things we do are deworming. Now, why do we need to deworm a child? You may not be able to tell when your child has been infested with worms, because as children are playing, especially barefooted, the worms can get in there through their skin. As they start feeding on other foods which are not properly prepared, they can still get worms from there. And so we need to deworm these children so that we can reduce the complications of the worms. Worms can lead to children having anemia, they can cause chest infections, they can also cause them to start having blood in their urine and eventually end up with bladder cancer. And so this is what we had to talk about today. I've talked about vaccinations, vitamin A supplementation, and the need for deworming. Do not be left out. Let not your child get sick from diseases that we can prevent, because we have a very good immunization schedule. So I encourage a guardian out there, a father out there, to take their children for under 5 clinics so that they can get these vaccinations. Thank you for joining us. See you tomorrow, even as we look at HIV prevention and testing at the under 5 clinics. I'm Dr. Chelo Mwanza, and the health segment was proudly brought to you by the Medical Women Association of Zambia.
Welcome back. Hope you've learned one or two things for those first-time mothers and those that are planning to have children in the future, how important vaccination for the child is. And we're moving on. Let's get into our second conversation of the day. Let's see how the stock exchange rate looks like as of today on the money market. Well, the Great British Pound is buying at 17 kwacha.44 ngwe and selling at 17 kwacha.79 ngwe. The United States dollar is buying at 15 kwacha.66 ngwe and selling at 15 kwacha.96 ngwe. The euro is buying at 15 kwacha.28 ngwe and selling at 15 kwacha.58 ngwe. The South African rand is buying at 87 ngwe and selling at 88 ngwe. That is your foreign exchange rate as of today. Now, we've had quite a number of stories and a whole lot of stories trending on both on social media and also in news bulletins. And one of them is being of that of Pamela Chisumpa that has been missing since the month of April 2022. The video had circulated some time back on social media of her being abused by the people that had abducted her, and also personally, to my surprise, I didn't know that the number was more than 5. So we just thank God that they were finally rescued. But it was quite weird of the things that they found in the house, and they were found in a big house somewhere in Chalala area, and they were rescued by some neighbors. It's a whole complicated story, but investigations have been instituted to find out exactly what was the purpose of the reason that the girls were actually captured, and this is what happened.
The residents of Lusaka's Chalala area Monday stood shocked and wondering what exactly was happening in their street without any suspicion any criminal activity. Heavy police presence trying to control the situation, led by Inspector General of Police Lemi Kajoba, was clear. A big story was breaking. The neighbors, vividly shocked, could not move out of sight as they waited for the police to take the suspect of the abduction out of the building. The mansion in a closed road was being used as a house for criminal activities. For close to 6 months, the police have been tracking the story of the mobile money boot operator, Pamela Chisumba, who's been missing since April. In the initial stages, her abductors released a video demanding a ransom for her to be released. Up until today, the family could not raise the resources, and she's been in custody of these abductors. Today, neighbors heard screams for help and alerted the police, who later came to the crime scene where we are today. Behind me there is a house where they were allegedly staying with other girls who were part of the crew. Other abductors have allegedly fled the crime scene and were not found by the police. According to one of the neighbors, the young ladies were allegedly abused by the abductors.
Noise outside, and then I decided to come out, and then I saw 2 girls screaming for help, to say tenzen kono tu tupase kono for tubineko ba bru batu bakambe kona bevi kuti tachoka kuja kamene vanati keeping her captive, and then uja mukazi nampasa phone, then they talked, and then on the road I met a man. He stays behind our.
And these guys look simple and they just look normal people. They just used to come and buy pads and condoms at that shop there. So we used to get surprised that how come boys are coming to buy such things all the time? Can't they are the ones who are what's this?
Tawanda texted me saying, babe, then I texted back. I tried calling her, I called her, then it was in a noisy place. So she's been texting. Yesterday she called to ask for her number. I gave the Zamtel number. Then later on they called to ask for Airtel number. I was working hand in hand with the police and Zicta.
Mother to one of the abducted girls says her child has been missing for 3 weeks.
Thank you to everyone who has done this job here for our children to be seen today, and I really say thank you to the Almighty God, because I haven't been eating, I've been fasting for my child to be seen, and I really thank God for this. Yes. So now I think these people who abducted our children, upon sensing some danger, yesterday they started sending some threats to me. No, we are going to kill your child, bring so much money, what. So upon receiving 10,000, upon receiving the clips, I was sending them over to the officers who were on the ground.
Well, the neighbors spoken to have also claimed that the house behind me where the girls were abducted or being kept for at least a period of time was also used as a reacher's den, owing to the fact that a coffin, some blood and sanitary ware was found at the scene. Some of the neighbors spoken to say they had no clue whatsoever what was happening in this premises.
I reached the door, I saw someone wearing black and he just went out of thin air just like that. And then we started helping the ladies to come out one by one until we helped the pregnant woman to come out of the household.
How many were there?
There were about 7 or 6 somewhere there. And they are saying that the male was killed. And then the other female, I don't know where they took the body. I'm not quite sure of the one who owns this house, but what I noticed in the house, they've got like a shrine, they've got a coffin there, there's blood, it's horrible.
Meanwhile, Police Inspector General gave an update on the matter.
Of relief, I would like to inform the nation through you, the press, that today, 3rd October 2022, we have managed to safely rescue Pamela Chisupa together with 12 other ladies. All the victims have been taken to a medical facility for quick medical attention. We have managed to apprehend one suspect who is being detained in our police custody to help us with investigations. We would like to call for calm amongst the general public as we wait for the victims to recuperate and further our investigations. A comprehensive statement will be issued in due course.
Others, however, claim the occupants of this house have only been here for a month. This clearly shows that Pamela Chisumba, among others who were abducted, have been moving from one house to another. Sharon Kalimbola, Camnet News, Lusaka.
We thank God that they were found safe, and we hope that the conditions are okay and that they're going through treatment and medical examinations. And also it's good that the NGOCC has actually offered to help them go through the counseling until they're fully recovered. And if you feel that there's something that you can help the girls do just so they can get over what had happened to them, I think it would be great that you actually come forward. But anyways, moving on to another story that caught our attention in the course of the week is that of Ndola man that has had a tumor in his jaw for over 7 years, but that came into pass. It became history because he had been helped out by a surgeon at the University Teaching Hospital. A very disciplined medical team managed to operate on him, and he's recovering, we'll say. I would like to warn our sensitive viewers that the picture you're about to see may be disturbing.
He was confident when we interviewed him yesterday as he awaited his operation date that he described as divine intervention. He had said he had given up hope after visiting a number of hospitals until he met a dental surgeon in a very different circumstance.
I lost interest from that time until last this year in June.
Sound reassuring banter of the assembled medical team that are working with the coordination more than that of ants. The patient has to be shaved and the time is 11:45 and everyone knows what to do without flicking an eyelid. From there on, his eyes have to be closed as they begin the procedure while he is fully awake and given the right medication to ease the pain. The theater room is full of medical paraphernalia and looks like something out of the movies and yet real. It's Zambia's very own medical team. The lead surgeon and his assistant have done this before and working hand in hand with the rest of the team. They draw a line below the jaw where they'll have to remove the lower part of it that has grown into a mass. They dive in and now cutting. There is smell of smoke and fresh. Nonetheless, they are discussing current affairs from music awards to the crime rate. The patient can no longer feel anything. It's a strange feeling for some in the room, especially the intern nurses and the journalist. Working with precision and dexterity, the tumor is finally removed and followed by ensuring that the rest of the tumor is nipped completely. They are now stitching his jaw back on the man they have nicknamed the Zesco Man. It's now done. After 4 long hours, the team will have a sound sleep tonight, having done a noble deed. He is now waking up as the corners of his mouth twitches. It's short of a miracle. The doctor now describes the procedure of the operation.
It was actually removing the whole tumor, but of course we had to do it in a way that, as we now approximate the edges, we restore the way the person previously looked. So it's about restoring form and function.
He says such tumors are common in Zambia.
The patient had an aminoblastoma. So this is a very common tumor in this country, very common. Literally would have like maybe 3 patients a week. 3 patients a week, and that's a high turnout. If we were to account for all the aminoblastomas, they account for about around 80% as compared to all the other tumors put together.
He further says Zambia has continued to lead the way in medical tourism.
Because I think what you saw, it's purely the commitment by Ministry of Health and UTH at large, the adult hospital. So literally we are treating and dealing with a lot of cases that come across Southern Africa, from Malawi, Mozambique, Zimbabwe, and some from DRC. So literally we are here to help, and that's our core business.
The doctors have reassured that the Zesco Man will use his soprano voice in the UCZ choir where he belongs. What has happened here is short of a miracle. This team are truly unsung heroes. We hope the patient goes back to his 4 children back in Dollar. Tito Kalama, Camnet News, the UTH Theatre.
Well, we thank God for that successful operation. Now, moving on to our third story that actually caught our attention in the course of the week is that of a 32-year-old woman that has been contemplating to take her life and that of her 4 children because of poverty. Now, she has been calling on well-wishers, those that can help to take in the children as she goes around to look for work because she has been unable to do so. She only survives on day-to-day by selling plastic bottles, which she feels is not bringing enough income to actually help herself and also that of her kids.
6 people live squeezed up in this one-roomed house in Lusaka's Kanyama Ward 13, which has been demarcated into a bedroom and kitchen with only the help of a curtain. This is the home of Caroline Hakatanga, 28, who lives here with her 30-year-old husband, 7-year-old son, and 1 year 2 months old triplets. The mother of 4, however, narrates that they are living in dire poverty, eating whatever they can find, as both she and her husband only depend on piecework for survival. The mother narrates that the young family recently relocated to Zambia's capital city 2 weeks ago in hopes of a better life, but says nothing has improved. She adds that having triplets has made their life harder, as food is hard to come by.
So tunabwera kuno kapena tisasa kila kwa chito. So tunabwera kuno chito watati wake pali bopeza bwino. Bachitati bakambira pali pisu eki baenda. Kuti kwanise kusunga bana. So bana batovuta. Nchakudya na bovala na so.
Soga mwamba wali onsa mina ngatanizi.
Chomfola ko tandizo ya bwanju kuli bane batamba.
Tandizo nifuna tandizo ili yonse kuli bana babe banga kwanise bali bonse tandizako.
Meanwhile, a concerned citizen within the same area, Taisa Chihuwe, says there is urgent need for well-wishers to come to the aid of the family as the woman's 7-year-old son has stopped school in grade 1, stating that he takes care of the triplets while their parents go around communities looking for peace work.
Mwana alenga school. Saenda school chukua chaba mpunda wanzake. So school saenda ankala affected sasa punzira chukua chaba. So kutumapezeka maisha zamina ngatandizira mai wake. Bangangene solo kanchito ngabatandizira kupapa mwana. Usita kuti mwana apezera aende school. Pali manje school saenda ankala ko chapi so chapi. Chukua hata niza kupapira bana bamavuto aya. Bakaenda kuma pisu yeki mwamina tandizira kuta bwani.
The mother's only hope now is in well-wishers, as she says she is ready to start any business once capital is available. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
We're praying that well-wishers will actually come to our aid. We get into our second story, our other story, zooming into the headlines, is that of a woman who is suffering from cervical cancer and lives with her husband who also has a liver problem. And now they're also seeking for help as well because they are unable to fend for themselves because they're unable to actually work. Here's the story.
Being in poor health is bad enough, but the situation is worse when sickness is coupled with poverty. This is the case of 47-year-old Emily Monga from Lusaka's Kanyama constituency living with cervical cancer, whose health has fast deteriorated due to the cancer coupled with poor diet, as she and her family are living in dire poverty. The woman explains that the lack of money has led to her missing many appointments at the University Teaching Hospital UTH for checkups due to the lack of transport money, adding that her husband, who often does piecework such as bricklaying, cannot work efficiently as he has developed liver problems.
Wenda kumachani ukaenda kuja mpamela kuza nuti yayifunika mukala baso ufunika baso manje ndio ufunika manje kuti iya imanje apa tisakire ndalama tibule mukwala jamele batimuza kuja mukwala bama kambati ngati solo mamene nze naenda mcity scanning ninachitopempha kuja kumwene wa hospital kuja ananitandiza abantu kuti ngene mcity scanning alipointment ngena mcity scanning na bwera kwenda ku hospital kuti chigwere chipepa so chabe ni kuwaya waya paka miezi yenda so chabe waya wa hospital kuti vanipase mali zauti yacha ya city scanning.
In a separate interview, her husband Jim Monga explains to Camnet News that he and his wife have 6 children, but says none of them is able to help them significantly, as while some are married, they too are living in a similar circumstance.
Nina liver foot problem that's why since doctor wananuza tusaisenza mninda nina liver problem. Pena kutima dia tumakabechi, pena kutima dia tumalepu, so chena livondwe na dele levosi. Pena ngoti bavuta nishibavuta zepi tuli.
Meanwhile, concerned neighbors have emphasized the need for well-wishers to come on board and help the family whom they say are suffering before any lives are lost.
Tipempha jabeta ndizo. kuti ngatatandizire pano pa nyumba vamuna navo vadwala valina liver problems vakwanisa kusevenza vakazi navo kansa yavuta iyi tandizo vakudya pa nyumba kaikulidwa amene asevenza kuno so tipempha chabe tandizo
tulina vakansa ava bafuna tandizo vayeserera kwenda ku kliniki vavauza ndalama zambiri zamene zikwanisiwa kuzipeza so tupempha vakakwanilise kutandizira.
The well-being of the family will significantly improve, as this will help the man of the house start a business which does not require manual labor and assist his family. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Well, welcome back. So that's all we had for you in zooming into the headlines. Remember that if you want to get interactive, all you need to do is call the numbers scrolling on your screen, or you can get in touch with us on Facebook. Just comment. Would like to hear what your views and your opinions are. If there's any topic of discussion that caught your attention in the course of the week, either trending on social media or on TV, just feel free to get interactive with us. We would love to hear from you. Now, quickly, let's get into our first interview of the day. And joining me on set is not a very what's the word? It's not a strange face. It's one person that you've actually seen half the time on the Breakfast Show, and he's a psychiatrist, Luyando Hamwendo. Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm alright. How are you?
Chifomo. It's good to see you. You look great. I can see you're ready for church after this.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. So, so let's quickly get into our topic of discussion for today, which is stress. Let's get into the first interaction of what is stress.
Well, stress is simply your emotional, physical, and behavioral response to something threatening. So in school, the time that we're in junior secondary, they'll tell us about the flight and fight response. So in simpler terms, that's what simply stress is. Yes.
Let's get into the disadvantages or the effects of one being stressed. What does it affect in your life?
Well, stress has been said to be the major contributor to most of the diseases that we have. So you talk about arthritis, gastritis, peptic ulcers, sexual problems in both men and women, hypertension, stroke. So those are the complications on a physical aspect. Then we're also seeing that stress is one of the leading causes for mental illnesses. So the reason as to why most people start drinking alcohol excessively is simply because they're stressed. The reason why people start smoking is simply because they're stressed. And the reason why people would go into depression or anxiety disorders, sleeping disorders, is simply because of stress. So obviously we have the physical aspect, the medical conditions that I talked about, and the mental aspect as well. Then it can cause a problem in your socio-economic life as well, because you won't be able to function at your best when you're stressed. You know that you won't be motivated to go for work. You know that when you go for work, you'll be easily fatigued. And when you'll be very irritable, so no one would want to talk to a person who's irritable. So there's a physical aspect, the emotional aspect, as well as the social aspect. Yes.
Okay, so I know half of these things that deal with emotions and behavioral things are not, it's not one thing that you can easily dot out to say, I am currently stressed. What are some of the signs for someone to know that they are stressed?
Well, some of the signs, so we'll talk about changes in your appetite. So most people start eating very little, or some will start eating excessively. So that might be a sign. Then not having refreshing sleep. So last time we talked about you sleeping for 6 hours as an adult, at least at most. But if you sleep, you still feel fatigued when you wake up in the morning, or you having trouble initiating sleep. Then we also talked about irritability, so you'll be very irritable. Then memory problems. Then there's this basic thing that Zambians we have. So we'll talk about things such as I feel as if I have malaria. So you go to the hospital, they do the regular investigations and you don't have malaria. They do your blood counts, everything is okay. So maybe the reason might be because you're stressed. Then it can also be seen in sexual problems. For example, men erectile dysfunctions, or women failure to conceive, or irregular menstrual cycles. So there are quite a number which are different for each individual. So the way that you'll be able to show that your stress is different from me, obviously, but those are some of the things that might help a person identify that they have stress or they're dealing with someone who's stressed.
Okay.
Yes.
Are there tablets for people that are stressed?
No, unfortunately. No.
What's the solution to people that are stressed?
So, I was hoping that you were going to ask me what causes stress. Yeah. So, what causes stress? We have what we call personality traits. Then we have also what we call work-related and lifestyle related. So, when it comes to personality traits, most people who are perfectionists seem to be more stressed than regular citizens. Then people who are pessimistic, remember that pessimism is also a symptom in depression. So such people are most likely to be stressed because they have
the saddest. They always think of the bad in every situation.
Negative views about the world and about the future. Then you wanting to take control of everything, so you do not want to delegate to others. Then lifestyle might be because of lack of sleep, having a few friends to talk to. Then work related, when you are working and you are not rewarded, or you do not receive any recognition for the work that you do. Work might become stressful because of that. Then doing something that is monotonous, so you're doing something for a very long period of time and it's not changing, so that might lead into stress. So when you're stressed, you just go through counseling, but here are some of the things that you can do. Number one is you change your perspectives or your expectations of the world. So they say life is 10% what happens to us and 90% how we react to it. So the reason sometimes we're stressed is simply because we have unreal expectations. So we can just change our perspectives, because again, research is telling us to say if you have, for example, let's put it in kilograms. You have 50 kilograms of stress and I have 10 kilograms of stress. If I think that stress is bad for me, obviously it's going to have very bad effects on me. But even with 50, but if you think it's good for you, the effects might not be that bad. So you change your perspectives of the world and your expectations. Then you try to get organized, because the reason why we're stressed is simply because we're not organized. So you know that you're supposed to go for work at 8, you start preparing at 7:50. Obviously that's going to stress you out. Then you find confiding relationships, people that you can talk to when you're having problems. We say problem shared is a problem solved. Yeah. Then you try to eat healthy, try to eat as many of natural products as you can, and then just avoid these other products. Then you exercise as well, because when you're stressed, there's a hormone called endorphin that cortisol that is produced. This is an inflammatory hormone that is produced by the body. It's the same hormone that is produced when you have malaria, for example. That's why
people say I feel like I have malaria.
Yeah, so that could explain why. So what do you do? Exercising has been shown to produce something that is opposite to this hormone, the feel-good hormone, which is called endorphin. So when you exercise, that can help. Then having enough sleep as well. Having enough sleep, then there's something that I like telling people to say: do not be too hard on yourself. Yeah, so you might have plans, but obviously it's not always that everything will work according to how you plan. So go easy on yourself, take breaks when you can, and use humor as well. There are people, I read a story on Facebook a lady was asking the boyfriend to say, I've never seen you smile ever since we started dating. And the guy was like, I thought she wanted a serious relationship. So it's important that we just laugh, because when we laugh we get rid of the stress. So those are some of the few things that we can do. Then we avoid quick fixes as well. By quick fixes I mean when you're stressed you resort to alcohol, smoking, because there's nothing that it does. You just simply because when you wake up in the morning you still be in the same, it puts you in a cycle. So you won't get out of it. So if all of this fail, then obviously you seek professional help, and psychiatrists and different medical personnel will be able to help you.
Okay, so now I have heard people that would say things like, I feel stressed but I think I'm depressed. Does depression and stress have similar symptoms?
Yeah, it might be very hard to tell. But the tests that psychologists are able to do, there's, for example, what we call the Beck's Depression Inventory. So it's a simple test of about 20 questions. So you tick what you feel. So sometimes these two might mimic each other, but stress is more on the physical, emotional, and social aspect compared to depression. But yeah, it's possible that a person who's there's a disorder that is called a stress disorder in psychiatry, and when you look at the symptoms, most of the times they mimic depression. Yes.
Oh, okay. So now, before we let you go, are there any closing remarks concerning stress?
Obviously, the few tips that we've talked about. So if you're stressed, simply do that, and hopefully you'll be fine. And like we say always, we say these things are just passing. Pick up what, like I say on Facebook. So whatever might be stressing you, obviously to come to an end.
All right, Mr. Hamwendo, thank you for coming through.
Thank you.
And it's always good to have you. Don't be a stranger again.
I'll be coming.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're having a conversation with a psychiatrist, Luyando Hamwendo, and he was just telling us how you can identify if you're stressed and also what you need to do to get rid of that stress. He said, take the day as it comes, one day at a time. Remember, you can get interactive with us on 0968 675 273 or get to our Facebook page and let's hear what you have to say. Let's take a quick short break and then we'll get into another conversation after this.
For immediate coverage of any breaking or latest news in Zambia and around the world on Camnet television, call the numbers on your screen. Camnet television, bringing to your screens fair news, impartial news, credible and reliable news all the time. Get the whole truth on Camnet World News. Camnet television, not just another channel.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. Renglow, your smart irrigation partner.
Prime plots filled with beautiful views are now available for sale in Palavana. They will have tarred roads, electricity, water, golf course, 24-hour security, and more. They are on title and you can view them. With a standard 20% initial deposit, you will already be on your way to owning land Kumayad. We have 40 by 25 meters going for 240,000 and our 50 by 42 going for 300,000. Both have flexible payment plans. They are located 28 kilometers from Crossroads Mall and 16 kilometers from New Kasama's Boom Gate along Leopards Hill Road. For viewings, purchases and inquiries, call the numbers on the screen.
Welcome back. You're still on the Camnet Breakfast Show. If you've just joined us, you haven't missed much. We're just getting into and getting to the juicy part of the show. Now, joining me on set are media personalities. I just feel like they've come to steal my job. So I don't even know how to react right now. But if they steal the show, don't be shocked. I have Kunda and Kafula with me on set. Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
How are you?
Great. Awesome. How are you?
Yeah, you see what I was saying? They've come to steal my show. It's good to have you guys. So let's quickly get into the reason why we have gathered in this manner. We thank God. Thank you for embracing us with your presence. Let's quickly get into the mocktail that you are planning to have in just a few days, and what's the reason behind the mocktail event.
All right, thank you very much. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about the heart behind the mocktail that we're having. So basically, me and Kafula, we realize that mostly as believers, we do have, fellowship, we go to concerts and all those things, but we rarely have, events where we're able to interact and we're able to network. So I think back then in 2019, me and her, we decided to start hosting different kinds of events that are going to allow believers to kind of like meet and be able to just kind of like interact. So we did our first mocktail in 2019, then COVID came, we couldn't do anything.
Tell me about it.
So we're like, you know what, but we need to get back because we need to find or create a platform, for people to come together and just interact and network. And we thought, there's so many people that are making impact in the marketplace right now that are believers. And we thought, it'd be good for them to just come and let's share. In as much as, would love to worship God. Yes, we're going to worship God, but let's come and share. Let's talk. Let's ask questions. And that's like the heart behind the mocktail. And so we're having this nice, prestigious event, red carpet.
Nice and prestigious. Go on.
Like, you know what? We are we are sons and daughters of the Most High.
Yes,
so
yes.
We have to look good. And so it's a red carpet mocktail happening on the 15th of October, which is next Saturday, and it's going to be at Mass Media Gardens. So we're like, you know what? Let's have this. So this is like the heart behind it, and we thought, you know what? It's just a place, where people can come and just network. But apart from that, there's a cause attached to it, and I'm going to allow Kafula to just say something about that.
Kafula, yeah, sure.
All right, thank you so much for giving us this platform to be able to just, talk about the event that we have. And so, like Kunda said, we do have a cause attached to this particular event. And the cause is, for the longest time, in the African setup, in the Zambian setup to be precise, it has been a taboo to talk about menstruation.
True.
You and I will attest to the fact that when we were of age, when we became of age, we were taught we can only tell our aunties or our grandmothers, and then they pass on the message to our mothers, they pass on the mom, our mother passes on the message now to dad. And it has been like that for the longest time. And I remember of a lot of instances where I would be in school and one of my friends stands and they become a laughing stock. And before you know it, they no longer come to school. So I left school with that. I'm like, Lord, if I'm doing this, I'm not supposed to go to school because obviously I might stay.
And you might miss like 3 or 7 days of school.
Exactly my point. But then what we're trying to say is menstruation is not a curse, number one. Menstruation is not a crime, number two. It shouldn't be something that a girl child should be ashamed of doing at the end of the day, because this is a gift from God. This is a blessing that God has given us as women, and we cannot change that about us. And so we need to embrace. But how do we embrace it? It's by, you know, educating people, educating our brothers out there that you know, make us feel inferior when that type of the month comes. You know, they need to understand and they need to be able to support, because if you are not if you're a man, you have a sister, you someday have a child, you have a mother, you have, you know, you name it, cousins and whatever, and these are people that are going through the similar you know, situation. And so we took a moment and we do outreach programs, and one of these days we visited Kanyama, and one of the schools in Kanyama has quite a number of girls, vulnerable girls coming from vulnerable, you know, families, and just having a conversation with them, we learned that some of them have never used a pad in their lives, and that to us made us be at a place where we're like, Lord, what can we
help
do?
us help them?
What can we do? You know, because the Bible tells us that for God so loved that he gave. So as children of God, if we are taught to love one another, how are we going to show the love to these kids? What can we do? And so I must first and foremost just say thank you to him for coming. He's a man, and
I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
He bought into this without hesitation, and I would like to make an appeal to all the men out there that are watching right now to say, look, you can do what he has done. He set an example. It's not a taboo. Let's do away with, oh, she's on her P's and I can't interact, I can't mingle with this person and stuff like that. There's a lot that is going on at that particular moment, hormonal-wise and stuff like that. And if you're going to come and start giving me stress, it's like some people can actually even, it's as bad as people can even commit suicide because of that. So he came on board, he said, you know what, this we are doing. So how can we raise money? All right, how can we bring people on board and just make them be a part of this wonderful cause? And this is why we're here today, and just encouraging people to say, you know what, there's a girl child out there that is using ifisalu clothes, like
which is not even healthy, which is not in
it's not healthy. Chitenge material has got chemicals, and a child out there is busy wearing those things every single day of their lives. Why? Because they are unable to. That 7 kwacha that you and I can afford to go in a store and buy pads, they can't manage because the family has to budget using that money. And so what we're saying is we want to raise about 1,000 pads for 300 girls that we've identified, and each girl is going to walk away with 5 packets of pads, which means we've pushed them to a period of 5 months. They're able to have healthy menstrual periods. And other than that, we want to talk to them about the love of Christ. We want to talk to them about menstrual hygiene, how they can take care of themselves, and so on and so forth. And so, yeah, that's the cause behind that.
It sounds nice. I love when you used prestige, then you know you're getting into there. Yeah, you're getting there. Yeah. So now my next question is, I heard you say you have identified a group of girls that you feel you can help out. Is this just happening in Lusaka, or maybe you have other places that you feel at some point you will get there?
For now, this is happening in Lusaka. We identified, like I said, Kanyama community schools, but we do these mocktails every year, and we've got other events that we actually do that have a cause attached to. So every year we do these events, and so if you would like to be a part of this and you would like us to come to your town, you can let us know. And obviously we are calling on sponsors to come on board, because we can't do this on our own.
Yeah, true.
You know, 1,300 girls is not a joke. Like, that's a huge number to be able to help out. And also, in order for us to go out of Lusaka, our comfort zone, to other places, we need resources, we need fans. And so for now, we're just doing this in Lusaka, but hoping that God will raise people that are saying, you know what, we want to be a part of this, and we want to just make a difference in the communities.
Okay, so let's get into contact details. If there's an email address, one that would want to donate a box or a pack of sanitary towel, how can they get interactive, who can they call, and stuff like that?
All right, so for starters, by virtue of them getting a ticket to the mocktail, they're simply saying we are supporting the cause.
Sure.
So like Kunda said, the mocktail is on the 15th of October 2022 at Mass Media Gardens, starting at 18 right through to 20 hours. We start with the red carpet. We spoke of the prestigious arrangement that we want to use. So we do have a red carpet moment where we want to just like appreciate the beautiful gowns, the beautiful outfits, suits,
and God's greatest creation, which is man.
Which you're gonna come with, and of course during this particular event, the ticket is going for 300 kwacha, and it has food and drinks inclusive in that, and these are mocktails. The world calls them cocktails. We in the Christian circles call it mocktails because they're virgin cocktails.
Christians.
Yes,
Christians.
We call them virgin cocktails because they're not alcoholic.
Okay.
Yes, so the food and drinks inclusive in that particular this same amount. And so the numbers they can use if you feel you are far and you can't be a part of the mocktail, but you want to buy a pad for somebody, you can come through to Radio Christian Voice office and just drop that packet of menstrual pads. Or you can call the number 0960 31 80 18, 0960 31 80 18, and the Airtel number Kunda will give out.
Yeah, so the Airtel number is 0979 24 0315, 0979 24 0315. You can also follow us on Facebook, KNK Events, and you can get more details from there as well. And you know, this particular event, it's going to be awesome because we're having a bit of music, we're having acoustic music, we're having poetry, we're having a business tour.
Networking.
Yeah, and just a lot of networking. So we're having a lot of people that are coming through. December 2020, Faith Kalungia, Let Norena, Chile Shogwalia. Like so many guys that are making so much impact, you know, in the industry and in the marketplace, they're going to be there. And so it's going to be an awesome event. And yeah, it'll be great to have you, if you're watching right now, and come and be part.
Okay, thank you so very much. Closing remarks?
We would like to just, well, ladies first. You guys already said I talk too much, so yeah, I'm gonna go. First and foremost, we'd like to say a big thank you to the Camnet TV for according us this opportunity to be here and be able to share what we have. And thank you to you. I love you.
You're welcome.
We're grateful.
You're welcome.
But then also we just want to emphasize that you know, you can make a difference in our communities. It starts with you, and you don't have to be rich in order for you to make a difference. You that can be able to afford a 7 kwacha and just buy airtime or data and stuff like that, it means that you can afford a menstrual pad and just drop it off at the nearest. You can give us a call or just send to our a mobile money number, and we'll be able to do that on your behalf, and you will add to that. There is a blessing in giving.
Giving, true.
There is a blessing that is attached to giving. You know, blessed is the hand that giveth, is what the Bible says. And so we'd just like to encourage you to get yourself a ticket and support the cause, and also, you know, be a blessing to those kids in Kanyama.
Yeah, I think my last words would be, look, the Bible tells us that, you know, we are salt, we are light. And as believers, we can't take the back seat, that we need to be in charge, we need to be in front. And so I believe as in anything, be it giving, you know, taking part, and just being a blessing to people out there, as believers should be in the forefront and making sure that we are part. And so I would love to just encourage someone, look, let's not take the back seat, let us be involved, and let us make sure that our light is shining. Let us be the salt. Let us be the ones that are going to be there to say, you know what, Jesus loves you, and being able to show that by simply giving something.
Amen. Glory. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, I was having a conversation with Kunda Malama and Kafula Salamba from K&K Events, and they're having a mocktail. Make sure that you find yourself there. Help a girl child today. They say when you educate a girl child, you educate the nation. So right about now, I'll get into another conversation just after this.
Prime plots filled with beautiful views are now available for sale in Palavana. They will have tarred roads, electricity, water, golf course, 24-hour security, and more. They are on title and you can view them. With a standard 20% initial deposit, you will already be on your way to owning land Kumayard. We have 40 by 25 meters going for 240,000 and our 50 by 42 going for 300,000. Both have flexible payment plans. They are located 28 kilometers from Crossroads Mall and 16 kilometers from New Kasama's Boom Gate along Leopards Hill Road.
For viewings, purchases, and inquiries, call the numbers on the screen.
For immediate coverage of any breaking or latest news in Zambia and around the world on Camnet Television, call the numbers on your screen. Camnet Television, bringing to your screens fair news, impartial news, credible and reliable news all the time. Get the whole truth on Camnet World News. Camnet Television, not just another channel.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. Rain Glow, your smart irrigation partner.
Welcome back. You're still watching the Camnet Breakfast. Now, quickly getting into our next interview. I'm joined by Mr. Jara Sungoma, and he's from the Leadership Movement. We're just here to discuss a few current affairs and topics of discussion that caught his attention in the course of the week, or something that he would like to bring to everyone's attention. Good morning, sir, and welcome to the show.
Good morning, Madam Precious, and we are happy to be at our wonderful studio.
It's good to see you. Let's quickly get into the current topic of discussion on social media and also other media platforms, which is the rescue of the girls that were abducted. One of them being a mobile money operator, Pamela Chisumba, who has been missing since the month of April. What's your response, or maybe your take on that, your review?
All right. Thank you, Madam Precious, and the viewers out there. First thing first, as Leadership Movement, through the able leadership of President Dr. Richard Selumbe, for us, we've been hesitant to give our point of view for a simple reason that you know, this is it's a sad reading, and these our young ladies needs a lot of comfort for now, and we feel that since there are these wings that have been tasked to do their thorough work, we thought of being a bit restrained, because all we need to do now is to inculcate the spirit of hope in these families. For example, you look at even the very girls. However, what this has shown to the world is that we have a lot of work to do, because you cannot have a situation where in this technological age you can't trace 6 months down the line, you can't trace where the abductors were, and you have the system in place. You are informing the public, for example, that because the most publicized person was Madam Pamela Chisomba, only to be given a detailed report on the material day. That does not make sense, because the role of the police is to work with the community as they claim to be, because as we saw, we want to salute the neighbors. Now imagine, Madam Precious, if those criminals, we call them criminals now, if they were armed with whatever weapons, what are we going to find? That was going to be massacre, because you cannot be told some 45, 50 minutes you are not taking the issue of agents where lives are at stake. And want to thank God through that young lady who dared the storm to jump over the fence, to go and give an alert to the neighbors. That kind of courage, because without her, as we are talking, the police was not going to unearth that scam. So we are disappointed in a way the whole thing was carried out, but however, we want to thank also the police in their feeble way of, we call it feeble because you cannot treat this, where on earth in the name of freedom you allow a suspect daring you, the police, no, us, when you leave us, you should give us job. What? You are supposed to treat that kind of a criminal to a point, as leadership movement, we are supposed to see such criminals thrown in the van. But the problem of this animal called human rights, do you remember the issue where we had those young people who were insulting the head of state? Okay? When the Zambia army strike discipline, you heard these NGOs, no, you cannot be beating these children. We want sanity. This is why when we discard our values, these are the consequences. Because ourselves would submit that Zambia army system. I watched like today, seeing these young people uttering insults at the head of the following day, they were behind bars. So we need Zambia army ourselves to lecture these Zambia police on how to go about the intelligence, because their system is very robust. You cannot be treating and, telling the Zambian people in a detailed way, no, we had a case in Chiranga, no, where were you? Where were you all this time? So, as a leadership movement, we are going to tell the new dawn that for us, we have no time to waste. If this is a scheme to divert the attention, we want them to go to the basics, that poverty has to be tackled head on, because all these are as a result of when you have 90% of your young people, Madam Precious, they are doing nothing, languishing, and you have a government which has taken a lane of consumption in whatever it does. There is no way to resuscitate the young people by giving them hope in the line of productivity, because you just hear their youth, the national youth person, or whatever the name is, threatening. You heard the journalists that no, as we tell everyone who be insulting the president, who be beating them, we have the potential to beat, the potential to, that energy, Madam Precious, has to be taken to production, because it tells you and me that we have a country where, the young people, when that energy is not taken to the rightful area, it is always a problem. Mm-hmm. So our concern as leadership movement is that we needed to have a situation where by now, if it was us, the state farm was going to be up and about kicking. Whether educated or not, you take your young people to productivity, because this is what is happening. You heard from the so-called freedom of expression giving time to talk this culprit to say, no, us, if you're not going to give us work, how do you get where do they get even the audacity? Yeah, very true. In short, what we are going to say as leadership movement, this government should just make sure that it starts fulfilling its promises. These could be another propaganda way of diverting the attention from the much needed sufferings. So we are not going to relent ourselves. We know there are other people who have been tasked to do whatever they are supposed to do, but our role is attacking those policies where you lock the money, for example, for CDF, you put your young people to sufferings and you pretend you are helping. No, we are increasing. Increasing what when you haven't even been seen to be doing what you are supposed to do? So we are not going to be swayed ourselves. We know the systems are there, and we are not going to waste time joining the wagon in this scenario. We wait there for the investigation. Once it's done, then we'll be able to give our position. As for now, we want them to give the hope to the young people who went so early to cast their vote. Let them be given something to do. This is the point we are talking about. It's a lane of production, not that of consumption.
Okay, Mr. Ngoma, it's good that you've actually touched on some questions that I was headed towards, which is that of the proposed national budget, 2023 national budget. And I've heard you touch on the proposed increase of the CDF, and you saying the money has been knocked, but then there's a proposal of an increment. What is your reaction on the 2023 national budget that was just presented a few days ago?
Thank you very much, and the viewers. Madam Precious, for us, we have termed this national budget, that is 2023 national budget, as a limping duck. Limping duck in the sense that you look at the budget, which is donor aided. 90% of it is externally driven. Now, when you have a scenario like that, the viewers and Madam Precious here, the problem which comes with that kind of dependency is that you do not have the control of what is supposed to be done. A very practical example is when you look at, we are almost heading to this rain season, for example. You remember this government told the Zambian people that it was going to start with 3 state farms to do with cultivation of marijuana. Marijuana cash crop. We and leadership movement through President Silumbi were the first people to compliment them, said this is the way to go. Now, we are going to challenge you, the New Dawn, take this template to all the provinces, because we know this is a cash crop. A number of our young people, educated or not, they will be engaged in this kind of production. In the end, we are going to reap the much needed product in the aspect of marijuana, which is medicinal in nature. We are going to bring a lot of money to the country. This current budget, what have they told us from the 3 states farms? Have they told us in the budget that no, now we have 1 state farm in Chisamba, and this is the money that we are going to allocate? Nothing. It was just statement after statement. The problem is simple. Their antidote is that of consumption. LM, its antidote is that of production. This is why we are so keen ourselves when giving checks and balances. We have no time for character assassination. Ours is to attack these policies, because you cannot have a budget where you are even mocking the Zambian people, taking the so-called 70 tankers to take them to Copper Belt there. Meanwhile, you have locked Indeni there, and the supplier of those tankers is a foreigner, capital flight already. You are there waiting. Where are you going to start supplying your fuel? We told them, go and strike cheap deals with Russia. They haven't even started. Now you wait for someone to tell you what to do, when to do, where to go and get them. It was going to make sense if they had struck a deal with Russia, for example, because every country now is striking cheap sources with Russia. Talk of China, talk of India, Brazil, Hungary. These guys, they understand the wheels of the economy. Why are we so stuck? We want the Western guys to tell us what to do. The colonial masters, we are there waiting. Meanwhile, President Joe Biden is busy going to the Middle East to strike cheap deals. President Joe Biden, when his country was facing challenges in Ukraine, he had to offload barrels and barrels of fuel to his local market.